we stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Today is Tuesday, March 15th. This is episode number 305 of a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of our dreams. Today we are going to be talking about spring yard cleanup, the Ides of March, and Edamame, all of which sound interesting to me. Hopefully many of which sound interesting to you. And give me 1 second to make some adjustments here in the truck. All right. So this comes from the Old Farmer's Almanac. There is also information about who was born on this day, what happened today in history, questions of the day, puzzles of the day, and all sorts of information. You can find links to all of this contained in the primary show link from March 15th, 2022 in the show notes. So let's give this a scroll as we head down the driveway here. If you're interested in a complete spring cleanup yard or a spring yard cleanup checklist, links in the show notes. It is a full moon for March 2022. March's full moon is coming, peaking Friday, March 18th. It is the last full moon of the winter season, and here is all you need to know about the full worm moon, including the surprising truth behind its name. Okay, that sounds kind of interesting. What else do we have in store here for today? It's a link to an article for Irish potato pie, which is a velvety, creamy treat made with mashed potatoes, eggs, cream, sugar, and nutmeg. It tastes like a smooth custard with no taste of potato. That sounds awesome. I'm going to see if I can't link to that directly in the show notes. Something I would like to try. An article on how the months got their names. How did the months get their names? The months' names reflect a mix of gods and goddesses, rulers, and numbers. This article lets us discover how our calendar developed what it is, or developed into what it is today. So we've got a lot of interesting things going on here today. We've got an article on edamame, originally from East Asia. Edamame is a relatively new crop in North American gardens, especially for home gardeners. It requires a growing season of 10 weeks, and they provide some details on how to plant and grow edamame at home. So that's about it. Let's see. I'm still not entirely sold on what we're gonna do. We got edamame. We've got how the months got their names. Irish potato pie, which sounds fantastic. Let's dive into the full moon for March 2022. And this is, the moon is of interest. I noticed that, before we touch on this, it's early right now. It is 6:48 a.m. It's still dark out. Daylight savings time is upon us, and trying to get an earlier start to the days because spring is here, and there's a lot of work to do, and I'm trying to stay current with everything, even despite my things that take me away from work, like appointments that I had yesterday certain volunteer activities that I do from time to time. But last night the moon was bright. My dog was very active, and I ended up taking him out a couple of times throughout the night, and the coyotes were going bananas. So I don't know if he was seeing something outside, but there were a few times where he would jump up on the bed, which is right by the window, and look out the window and kind of whimper. So the moon's being a little weird out there, and this is the full worm moon. So March's full moon is coming, peaking Friday, March 18th. It is the last full moon of the winter season, and here is everything you need to know about the full worm moon. So let me try to do something here. All right. So we got the full worm moon, right? So here's the surprising truth behind its name. So the full worm moon reaches peak illumination at 3:20 a.m. on Friday, March 18th, 2022. So you're going to want to look for those spectacularly bright moon light on the horizon that evening. All right, so why is it called the worm moon? Now, the full moon names used by the Old Farmer's Almanac come from a number of places, including Native American, colonial American, and European sources. Now, traditionally, each full moon name was applied to the entire lunar month in which it occurred, not only to the full moon. Now, here's the surprising truth behind the worm moon name. Now, March's full moon goes by the name worm moon. That's right, worm. For many years, we thought this name referred to the earthworms that appear as the soil warms in the spring. This invites robins and other birds to feed, a true sign of spring. However, more research revealed another explanation. In the 1760s, Captain Jonathan Carver visited the Nottawasi, or Dakota, and other Native American tribes, and wrote that the name worm moon refers to a different sort of worm, a beetle larva, which begin to emerge from the thawing bark of trees and other winter hideouts at this time. Now, alternative March moon names. There are quite a few names for the March moon that speak to the transition from winter to spring. Some refer to the appearance or reappearance of certain animals, such as the eagle moon, goose moon, which is used in the Algonquin and Cree tribes, or crow comes back moon in the northern Ojibwe tribes. Excuse me. With it being dark out here, I'm trying to be mindful of the driving and not read this directly. There are links to this in the show notes, so be sure to check it out if you are interested in additional details beyond what I can provide while driving. Now, there's also a term called the sugar moon, which marks the time of the year when the sap of the sugar maple starts to flow. The wind-strong moon from the Pueblo tribes refers to the strong windy days that come at this time of year. The sore eyes moon, the Dakota, Lakota, and Assiniboine highlights the blinding rays of sunlight that reflect off the melting snow of late winter. And we've got the Paschal full moon. March's full moon often plays a role in religion too, specifically in Christianity. This moon is known as the Lenten moon. If it is the last moon of the winter season, i.e. if it occurs before the spring equinox, or as the Paschal full moon, if it is the first full moon of spring. if it occurs after the spring equinox. This year's March's full moon on March 18th, 2022 occurs before the spring equinox on March 20th, 2022, making it the Lenten moon. April's full moon on April 16th, 2022 will be the first full moon to occur after the spring equinox and will therefore determine the date of Easter this year. Interesting, huh? So you can read more about how Easter's date is determined with a link within this article. And there is also a link to see all 12 months of full moon names and their meanings. There's also more information for all dates and times listed here. And all dates and times listed in the chart in the article in the show notes are listed in Eastern time. So there is an additional link to a moon phase calendar which will provide local times for your area. And that moon phase calendar includes when the new moon begins, when the first quarter begins, when the full moon occurs, and when the last quarter takes place. So again, if you're interested in when the next full moon is, you can consult the full moon calendar to find out. Links to everything is contained within articles in the show notes, links in the show notes, and links contained within the articles in the show notes. All right, there is also a little video about March's worm moon, and it looks like each month the Old Farmer's Almanac explains the traditional names of the full moon along with some fascinating moon facts. So in that video that will be a part of this article, I'll also share it in the chat groups and in social media. That video, we learn about the worm moon, moon illusions, and when and why the moon rides high or low in the sky. So check that out. This turned out to be a pretty cool topic for the day. Now, the best days in March 2022 are days for activities based on the moon's sign and phase in March. Now for planting, we've got above ground crops March 2nd and 3rd, below ground crops March 20 to 22nd, for setting eggs March 17th to 19th, for fishing March 2nd to the 18th. And there's a link to best days activities in this article as well. And finally, full moon names and information about everything else is contained for your reference in the show notes. And if you have any interest in full moon, lunar cycles and things like that, join the group chat and let us know. We'd love to hear from you there. You can find us online at t.me/allaroundgrowth. And guys, check out the show notes for links to the group, everything in today's episode, and more. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.
What can I do? The needs are many and answers a few. People turn away and I wonder why. If I can help somebody, then I want to try. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love, If we stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call. We know the times are wasting every day, and we can help somebody along the way. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. Truth is always the best way to the world that may seem odd. I'm an odd fellow. You're an odd fellow.